So my friend was unloading his car and he was bringing out all these funny chickens. You guys have seen them. One of them has really super long legs, and then there's some other little funny tiny ones. Then all of a sudden he pulls out this cage and there's this big white chicken in this cage, and I did not ask for this chicken. And he said everybody left the show because he was coming from a chicken show and people were selling chickens there, and she was still on the floor. Nobody wanted her. So I said, bring her in. Hello friends, welcome to Chickenlandia. My name is Dahlia. I'm a backyard chicken educator, also known as the president of Chickenlandia. Raising chickens has been the best way for me to find peace and joy in my life, and I want to help you find that too. Jolene, you are looking beautiful today. Jolene, 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 Jolene. She's like, stop, please. Okay, I'm gonna put you down because you don't like being held that much. Of course, she pooped on me. So today's gonna be a fun video. I have put out some sad videos lately, and just like you guys probably get tired of it, I get a little exhausted by it too. So I just wanted to put something out that's fun and inspirational today, and I've got my electrolytes here because with all the ups and downs in the chicken keeping journey, you need to stay healthy, okay? We're not getting any younger. We're not spring chickens anymore. At least I'm not. So this is the immunity blend. It's the pineapple flavor from Redmond Real Salt. I absolutely love it. There's still sickness going around. I don't want to get it. I'm done. I'm done for the year. So this is part of my plan to stay healthy, and I think you should try it. There's a link in the description, and I think there's a coupon code in there too. So it turned out that Jolene is actually kind of a fancy chicken. I didn't think she was that fancy. I was like, oh, who is this big white chicken? But she's kind of fancy. She is a, gosh, how do you pronounce this? Chanticleer? You know, whatever works. She is a Canadian breed of chicken. Super cold hardy chickens, very resilient, and I could tell from the beginning that Jolene was really, really healthy. Right when I brought those funny little chickens into Chickenlandia, the first ones that I brought, a couple of them got sick and I had one die right away, but Jolene never got sick. And it was clear that some of the others, they were a little bit under the weather, but it was nothing really serious. So while I was working on getting them better, she was just doing her thing. She was definitely kind of a bossy chicken. She fit in right away. Very resilient, very healthy, and very heavy. She weighs, I don't know how much. She's like a bowling ball if you pick her up. Let's see if she's in here. Jolene, are you in here? Jolene. She's not in here. She's hiding from me. She's not happy. She doesn't like to be held that much. So yeah, everything was going great. Jolene was doing great. Things were going pretty smoothly. And then in the fall, and for those of you that have been following me, you already know about this, my chickens got hit with a bacterial respiratory thing, and it was pretty rough. I had several chickens that got sick right away. I was able to nurse them all back to health, and then we were kind of in a good place. I was like, okay, everybody's well. But at that point, one night I went into the coop and I could see that Jolene was sneezing a little bit. And I was like, oh gosh, here we go. So I was really working on supporting the whole flock at that time, and Jolene didn't seem very ill. I already knew it was very widespread. I had some chickens that were quarantined and some chickens that I couldn't quarantine. It wasn't a great time, but we got through it. But at one point, it was maybe like a day after I saw that Jolene had sneezed a few times, she still seemed fine, and then one morning I came in here and I let the chickens out, and Jolene was still on the roost, and I was like, Jolene, what's going on? She couldn't see because she wasn't able to open her eyes, and she was just on the roost kind of confused, and it was super sad. So most of you guys know that I am supernatural. Yes, I'm supernatural. What I mean by that is that I really don't like to use a lot of synthetic medications for my chickens. And a lot of times, even when something is going through my flock, like that respiratory thing going through my flock, I will use homeopathics. I will use herbal medicines to treat the entire flock. So the super sick ones will be quarantined and they will be treated however I can get them to get better. So that might be antibiotics, that might be herbals, that might be a mixture of the two. Homeopathics, of course, I always use homeopathics. I am somebody that is a real proponent of natural medicine. And in fact, I really feel like you should reach for that first unless you don't have an option for anything else. There are times when it's like, okay, you can tell right away this is an emergency situation. This is something that needs to be resolved very quickly in order to save this chicken's life. And in those cases, I will use medications like antibiotics. And since I work closely with a local vet who has been absolutely wonderful to Chickenlandia, I had some antibiotics on hand and I just started giving her some. And she wouldn't get better. Jolene was on oral antibiotics and I had some antibiotic drops that I was putting into her eyes so that hopefully that would get resolved. I would actually open her eyes so that she could eat and drink and everything, but then by the end of the day her eyes would be closed again, and it was really like that for about 7 days. And usually when you give antibiotics, you're gonna see pretty quickly an improvement, and certainly within 7 days. It's rare not to see an improvement during that time unless you're dealing with something viral or something that's just not going to respond to the antibiotics. So I was getting very discouraged, and it was just every morning she couldn't see, and there would be a lot of bubbling in her eyes, and I didn't know what to do. So at that point I did reach for a homeopathic. I did a little bit of research. I got a homeopathic called Dulcamara. I think that's how you pronounce it, and it's something that you can buy at the store. And I gave her a dose of that, and I told her, I said, Jolene, if this doesn't work, I'm gonna have to stop treating you. And this probably sounds really strange, but I do communicate with my chickens about what I'm gonna do, especially if it concerns their life. I do talk to them. There is a point where I will stop treatment if I see that they're just not doing well, because I don't want to prolong their suffering and needlessly. I just think at some point it's just okay, let's just enjoy the rest of your life as much as you can and stop all this stuff. Jolene is not the kind of chicken that loves it when I pick her up and give her medicine, okay? So she was like, I don't like this. But anyway, I gave her the Dulcamara, and actually I don't usually do this, but when a chicken doesn't like to be held a lot, I will put a homeopathic just in her water. So I put a couple of pellets of that in her water so she could just drink it and then get a dose that way, which is normally not how I do it. I have a blog post where I talk about how I dose homeopathics. I'll leave that in the description for you. This is not the optimal way, but sometimes when you have a chicken that just does not like to be held and is really struggling with that, it's the best that you can do. So that's what I did. And the next morning I walked outside and I was like, this is it. She's probably not gonna be better. So I opened the coop because I had her separate. That's where I keep my sick chickens, is in the Igloo Pro. I opened the back of it and there she was, talking, looking at me, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, happy. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's a miracle. The stress of all that illness going through my flock, it was a tough time for me. I know you guys know, especially recently, here in Chickenlandia, we're not immune to our ups and downs. I lost Bubblicious recently. That was really, really hard. But what I try to do is focus on the little miracles that happen in Chickenlandia every day. And when I see Jolene taking a dust bath and she's got both her eyes wide open and she's happy and she's healthy, I think about where she came from. She was not wanted by anybody, but I'm so glad she's here, and I want her to be here for a long time, and I'm really grateful for that. Is that right, Jolene? She's taking a dust bath. Oh, you closed your little eyes. Are you happy? She's happy. So what's going on with you guys? You got any miracles that have happened in your flock lately? I think we could all use some good news. Tell me in the comments about the wonderful things that have happened with your chickens or just in your life lately. I'd love to hear about it. But the one thing that I want you to know beyond anything else is that no matter what, you are always welcome in Chickenlandia. Bye.